Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another game ideas video for the F1 2019 game. If you guys did miss the first one I made of these just about a week or so ago, then be sure to check that one out before you see this one annotation in the top right. But in that one, I asked you guys at the end to comment below ideas you have, and then so this list of another 10 more things we want to see in the F1 2019 game is a kind of culmination of your guys' comments, kind of the ones that got thumbs up the most, and then I think one or two of these are also my own ideas that kind of came to me as well since we made that last video. But of course, if you're wondering, it's only a month and a half since the F1 2018 game came out. Why are we making the video now? Because, well, as game cycles work, this is the perfect time to actually make these kind of videos, because right now they're working on the F1 2019 game. They're probably even working on just the future of the F1 games. They're probably working simultaneously on just the future of 2019, 2020, depending on how complex the ideas they have themselves already in the studio. They're working on multiple ideas for not just the next game, but future F1 games as well. So it's the perfect time to try and push these kind of ideas, and hopefully someone from Codemasters, probably the community managers, will see this video maybe, and they can try and trickle down some of these ideas to the dev teams, because of course it's been now 2 years since some of us YouTubers got to even go into the studio anymore, so they're not really doing that kind of these days. So this is kind of the old school way of trying to get ideas across, is in a video. So here we go then, 10 more things we all want to see in the F1 2019 game and just future games as well. Number one, I think this got like over 250 thumbs up on the comments, so quite a lot of thumbs up for a comment section here. Number one's going to be manual control in general in the F1 game, in terms of like the pit lane, the parking on the grid, the cooldown lap, and parc ferme. All these things are very automatically done. Obviously, for a while now, we've known when you enter the pit lane, it's all very automatic. You don't get to do any kind of manual driving in terms of the procedure for before or after the race, apart from the formation lap, and even that to an extent is somewhat a little bit automatic in terms of some of the things you can't do, and what the game will kind of reset you sometimes if you end up like crashing on the formation lap, as it were. But it'd be really cool to actually manually drive in the pit lane. Other racing games do that, and they do it really well, and it works out really well. Adds to the challenge of also for you, if you're a bit of a numpty like me sometimes, you pull into the wrong pit box. How funny would that be in career mode if you pulled into the wrong pit box and there's an animation of like the engineers kind of waving you through because you went to the wrong one or something like that? I know it'd be quite hectic in online terms, but it'd be really cool to have that at least in offline modes. And then parking on the grid, pretty simple stuff. That's a really tiny thing, but it just, it's that little, like I've said before in other videos, F1 fans, I think more than other sports game fans like football or whatnot, I think F1 fans really appreciate the smaller details sometimes in F1 games as well. So just little things like that, parking on the grid, the cooldown lap. Obviously, if you won the race, it'd be really good if you could actually celebrate with some actual donuts after the Grand Prix, or if you just wanted to drive around and weave around and try and just take in the win. Especially, imagine online, if you won a league race, if you had a cooldown lap where the entire lobby, their microphones automatically turned on, or at least the race winner's microphone turned on, and so, they could actually revel in the victory or something like that on the cooldown. Like, that'd be pretty sick in terms of atmosphere. And imagine for the F1 esports, that'd be pretty damn cool if the winner of the F1 esports races just gone on a live show could actually, actually soak in the victory, as it were. If Ramnison, who overtook Brendan Lee on the last lap of the third race of the live show at F1 esports, could have celebrated actually in game, and we could have seen that on the screen, that would have been a much more epic moment, as it already was. So it would work for offline and online. Number two, now this was fairly thumbs up as well, but it's one of those kind of really left field ideas which I've stated before would be really cool, but at the same time there's a lot of red tape, a lot of licensing issues, and we just don't know how open Liberty Media and FOM are going to be about that. And that's why I said at the end of last video that Codemasters now, this is the time where they really need to start poking FOM and Liberty Media with a stick and seeing what they can get out of them in terms of licensing. But a Road to Glory style kind of thing, like Project Cars has done, like other games have done, where you start in junior categories, F3 to F2 to F1. Something like that would be obviously really sick, but I'm not going to talk too much else about that, because obviously there is the big issue of licensing. So it's more of a pipe dream and a kind of thing that maybe, down the line we really hope could happen, but we don't really know. Number three, now this had, I think, like about 150 thumbs up, and it's an okay idea, but to be honest, in the grand scheme of things, it's not an idea that'll probably ever be implemented anytime soon again. But bringing back split screen, that was something that some of you guys said in the comments below. But the issue with that is I'm going to kind of, pick this kind of one apart, almost in a way, is the fact that I know for actual factual, you can actually see it on the data that there's too little people that would actually use split screen compared to those that just play career mode or online or whatever, or use other game modes. split screen probably only has, like, literally we're talking 5%, and that's probably being kind. 5% of the player base will use split screen. It's probably even less than that, so there's just no point of doing it. And also, I've been told by the devs, because this got brought up like 2-3 years ago when we were testing F1 2015 and 16, the developers told us that also from a kind of standpoint of using the console's power, it actually takes way too much power for the consoles to do than it's worth, because remember, you're rendering 2 different screens at the same time, and also you're trying to kind of fit in all the heads-up display in a smaller box on the screen, and so for the amount of work it takes to make split screen happen, it's not worth it for the number of players that actually play it. So it's a nice idea, whoever put it in the comments below, but it's not something that's actually worth it for Codemasters, not even worth it for anyone really, because I know you personally, the person who put the comment below, would love to see it maybe, but just think about gaming these days. Who actually plays split screen a lot these days? Not a lot of people. So 2 and 3 were 2 ideas that I just kind of picked apart, so now let's go on for the rest of the list of real solid ideas I can even get behind. So number 4, starting from the pit lane, being able to change your setup and taking the car out to parc ferme. Something that can happen in real life. Why can't we do it in the F1 game? You know, obviously parc ferme gets set on career mode. What happens if I bodge up qualifying? If I mess up qualifying, I can't get into Q3, let's say, and I know for a fact it's because I've got a bad setup. You know, I should have put the anti-roll bars a little bit lower. I needed more kind of, you know, I needed the car to roll a little bit more in the corners, or give me back a bit more bite, maybe with some downforce levels, or, you know, I wanted to change the rear ring, I wanted to change the, you know, the ballast, or the tire pressures were all wrong. If I want to change that, and I know that I'm going to face the consequences of starting from the pit lane, let me do that. Let me break parc ferme, and the game will come up with a warning, are you sure? Because you'll start from the pit lane then, and then you can start from the pit lane. And of course, you have that entire experience of having to watch the AI cars go past turn 1, or past the pit exit at least, before you can then get going. And so it just adds another scenario to the grid. Obviously, you have grid penalties. Why not, you know, pit lane starts, basically another type of penalty, basically. Number 5, I'm pretty sure this came up a few times last year, pit stops in qualifying. So qualifying is just a bit more fluid, because at the moment, you have to go back to the garage, you have to go return to garage, and you waste time like that. But in real life, sometimes, you know, if it's a desperate situation where the rain's coming down maybe, and there's enough fuel, if you worked it out well, the team can just do a tyre pit stop in the pit lane, and you can go straight out there. Obviously, you have to make sure you have enough fuel, but that's the kind of strategy that you're going to pull. If you know that there's going to be some rain coming later on, and you want to fill up a bit more fuel and quickly switch onto inters, then you do that. Or if it's raining and you know it's going to dry out pretty soon, you fill up the car with like 3-4 laps of fuel. You go on inters, and then as soon as you know it's time for dries, you say box in this lap for a pit stop, and then literally the animation is just like a race pit stop. It just changes your tires onto the dry tires, and you go out again. No refueling, obviously, but you save time in that way. It's something we don't see it too often in real life F1, but you do see it occasionally, so it'd be nice to have that option in the F1 game. I think also for league racing as well, online, that'd be a really good option as well. Number 6, now this is a comment about R&D, and what about spending R&D on the staff? So rather than the pit stop efficiency being on the contracts, maybe you can spend R&D towards improving your staff. So it's a little bit more like Motorsport Manager almost, that you can maybe go up to level 1, 2, 3 on the staff by spending R&D in that way. So I think that would maybe also solve the issue of some people have been saying the R&D is a little bit too fast in this game. In my opinion, I think it's just about right. It's between 2016 and 2017. 2016 was way faster. 2017 was far too slow, and 2018 they kind of got a nice balance in between, especially with the R&D resets that you can get every year. But it'd be nice to maybe have the staff stuff taken out of the contracts, because in reality, if you do a contract negotiation as a real life driver, nothing in the contract is going to be about staffing. It's going to be about you and what you are as a driver, your performance, and what you're going to get out of the team, not necessarily the staff. Obviously, it's a clever way to do it in a video game, but it would be kind of cool. An idea of having R&D, you have to spend it towards your team, because then it kind of feels like you're making more of an impact on R&D where you want it. It gives you more choice, and at the end of the day, more choice is better in terms of when you get to a career mode. You know, the more choices you have, the more different and unique your career mode can be to your friend or someone you're watching online as a content creator or whatever. And going off that, number 7 is going to be contracts. I think, in my opinion, this idea I had, and obviously I kind of showcased this idea in a game idea video I did last year, where I kind of showed it off, kind of basing off what FIFA have. But I think in-game currency could be a way to spice up the contracts, and also a way to incentivize customization and maybe make it worthwhile. So contract negotiations, if you don't have pit stop efficiency in the contracts, you don't have staff stuff in the contracts, what you can do is you can actually have in-game money, in-game salary that you're negotiating for, and then that in-game money you can spend on helmets per se, or different designs on helmets, different glove colors or whatnot, and that way they can also maybe maybe justify the extra work codies have to do on making new helmet designs, maybe, because then they're kind of locked away behind a bit of a kind of paywall per se of in-game currency, and then that's also a way to encourage the gamers to actually play career mode a little bit further, actually care about the contracts even more because they want to get that snazzy new helmet. Of course, it does mean a lot for PC players because they can modify the game, but for console players, it'd be a really big deal to be able to purchase maybe better customization options. I know a lot of the comments from last time out for the Game Ideas video was just generally, yeah, we agree that there just needs to be more customization for Xbox and PS4 players, because you guys that can't modify the game, you pretty much get shafted every single year, basically. There's not enough customization compared to PC players. Number 8 is going to be random pit stop errors. We already see randomly you can get held up in the pit lane. Obviously, you guys know I've been frustrated sometimes that I get held up in the pit lane myself, but I think for the AI as well, it'd be good if there's actual pit stop errors. I remember in F1 2010, if you didn't time the braking correctly, you could literally see an animation of the engineer at the very front literally being hit by the car and having to steady himself back. It'd be really cool to see if a guy on the wheel nut could kind of make a bit of a mistake, and you see the animation of him getting frustrated as you leave the pit lane on the replay camera or whatever like that. It'd be really cool to see those pit stop errors in that kind of way, just to kind of give a bit of another kind of randomness to the racing, because sometimes once you get past the random DNFs and whatnot, the game you can still kind of suss out. Sometimes it is very mathematical in terms of sometimes how the races pan out, so it'd be cool just to add another random factor into the mix, really. Number 9 is going to be an online and co-op career mode. I know they've taken out co-op career mode ever since F1, was it 2012, I think was the last time you had an actual co-op career mode, but I think now's the point where I think people really want it back, and I think there's a way you can put it back in a meaningful way. Back in 2012 and 2011, co-op career wasn't that enthralling because there wasn't much to do, but now that you have the R&D system, how cool would it be if you and your teammate had to kind of debate and kind of mess around and argue with yourselves, basically, of, oh no, I want to do this R&D point, but your friend might be like, no, I want this one. Like, let's say I want more downforce in the car, but my teammate over here on the other side of the garage online is like, nah, we don't need downforce, that's just your problem, I want more engine power. And so you have to argue about what R&D you're going to do, you have to debate about it, and you have to work together as a team to actually earn R&D points and work the car up to the order. And also, not just co-op, an online career mode where you're in different teams. So it's like league racing, but the caveat is it's not equal cars, and it's kind of online career in terms of you all have your own R&D trees in each team. And then if you swap teams, you're going to get a car that has R&D that some other online players done. Like, if you got a good group of like 5 of your mates and you got in 5 different teams, how crazy would that be to see all those 5 cars going up in R&D, and then you swap to your mate's team, and you compete together maybe, and so you inherit his car and his R&D work, or you swap teams and you inherit each other's R&D work. How crazy would that be in terms of scenarios like that, in terms of 5 different player R&Ds going at the same time? Because obviously AI R&D making is okay, the AI makes some interesting decisions with R&D, but if you've got actual 5 different players, or just different players, or X number of players actually in the same session doing their own R&D trees, you get a much more organic feel for what people would do with R&D points. And I think it'd just be a very interesting thing. Obviously, the infrastructure, the amount of time that would take to sync up 5 people's games online with R&D, I can't even fathom how complicated that would be. But it's something to think about, Codemasters. Like, in the future, maybe for, in like 2-3 years time, if you could slowly work towards it, I think that would be an amazing game mode. Like, think of it like pro clubs on FIFA, but obviously EA don't really care too much about pro clubs these days. Pro clubs hasn't changed in like 3-4 years, which is really annoying, because at this point I play pro clubs pretty much as my only game mode in FIFA, to be honest, because I don't have too much time to actually play that much FIFA, and I don't play Ultimate Team. I play career mode and pro clubs on FIFA, but I still love pro clubs so much because of the banter levels and stuff like that. How cool would it be to have that kind of banter on F1 with 5 of your mates online on career mode? That'd be so sick. And finally, number 10, going off the idea that I had last episode with the AI stats changing, like over the 10 seasons, if drivers get older, they reduce in their AI levels. How cool would it be if like they have morale almost, like Motorsport Manager, and have also injuries after crashes that affect the performance? So let's say, I don't know, let's say Bottas crashes in one race. The next race, his AI, due to that crash, loses a bit of morale, loses a bit of, maybe gets a little bit injured maybe, and so the AI level, let's say it's, I don't know, like 200, like the I don't know, the coding in the game is 200 for Bottas, and like Hamilton's like 250 or something. Bottas maybe loses morale, so he goes down to like level 180 or something like that, and so it's just another way to make the AI more fluid and actually a bit more tangible, a bit more real, is that they can actually change depending on what they do. Like, like I said, there should be reputation levels for the drivers, there should be AI stats changes, make it literally a case by case, race by race. AI can improve by 2 points or lose 3 points or gain 5 points for a great win or a great podium or an injury or a crash or loss of morale. That'd be really cool to actually have the AI moving up and down. And so, because it happens in real life. Let's say Brendan Hartley, remember, Brendan Hartley for this entire season, so down on his luck, and then Japan, really good morale boost of having a great qualifying at the Japanese Grand Prix, something like that. That'd be great. If you had an AI car, take my latest career mode video, for example. Pierre Gasly won my Singapore Grand Prix in Season 3. His AI now should have a morale boost of being able to do even better, or, doing better than he would do in the next race, the Russian Grand Prix, because he won a bloody race. He won a race. Obviously, that's going to be a big, big high and a good bit of momentum that a real-life driver would take into the next weekend and try and use that to motivate himself, motivate the team to do better. And so it'd be really cool to see AI cars, AI drivers, and also the teams perform better after a good result. So if you have one team that's got a bonkers result, like a bonkers podium, the entire team improves, and the specific driver that got them the podium improves as well. So that's going to be it then for this one. 10 more ideas we want in F1 2019 or future F1 games. Hopefully some of these things are, maybe small enough that could make it into the 2019 game. And obviously, guys, keep the ideas coming. Let me know any other ideas you guys have in your heads, and as soon as we get 10 more ideas, basically, we'll make another video like this and just keep on trying to hammer Codemasters with ideas. And I'm hoping to God one of the community managers from Codemasters does actually watch these kind of videos and maybe can hopefully pass it along to the devs or the creative directors in Codemasters and whatnot, and they can try and see what's possible, or just kind of jot down these ideas for future F1 games. Because obviously when like some of the YouTubers and influencers went to go test the F1 game 2 years ago now for F1 2017 and 2016, so a lot of those ideas did actually make them into the career mode. So I'm confident that Codemasters actually do listen to these ideas and they can actually get into the game. Like so many times I've kind of said, oh wow, this idea actually got into F1 2018 career mode because it's something I literally said in 2017 and stuff. I've seen like Paul Gilles like the tweet because he understands that, yeah, that was one of the ideas he said, and it's really cool for him even to see that the idea got in, and that like I and the other creators are happy about it. So our feedback was actually genuinely heard by Codemasters. So I'm hoping that again they're maybe watching these videos and that some of these ideas can maybe trickle down, or even they take some of these ideas and they kind of change it slightly from what I've said or from what you guys have said, but they change it in a way that it does work for them and they can actually implement it, and it'd be really cool like that. So keep the ideas coming in the comments below, and if you guys did enjoy the video and enjoy these ideas, then hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, you can subscribe for weekly F1 content. I've been aarava. Hope you enjoyed today. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.